Imagine waking up every day knowing that at any moment, the world could end in a nuclear firestorm. No battles in the streets, no tanks crossing borders, just a silent war fought in shadows, behind closed doors, and in the minds of millions. This was the Cold War, a conflict where no bombs dropped between the two superpowers. But the fear was very, very real. The Cold War began in the aftermath of World War II. The world had just defeated fascism, but a new rivalry emerged between former allies, the United States and the Soviet Union. It wasn't about land, it was about ideology, capitalism versus communism, democracy versus authoritarianism. By the late 1940s, Europe was split. The East fell under Soviet influence, while the West aligned with the United States. Winston Churchill famously called it the Iron Curtain, a line dividing not just nations, but entire ways of life. Instead of direct military conflict, the Cold War played out through espionage. Spy agencies like the CIA and the KGB became central players. Double agents, secret missions, and coded messages were standard tools. The stakes, national secrets, nuclear plans, and global influence. In the 1950s and 60s, propaganda flooded the airwaves, newspapers, and schools. The U.S. painted the Soviets as dangerous oppressors. The Soviets painted the West as greedy imperialists. It wasn't just about weapons, it was about winning hearts and minds. But nothing symbolized the Cold War more than the arms race. Both sides built stockpiles of nuclear weapons, enough to destroy the planet many times over. In 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis brought the world terrifyingly close to nuclear war. For 13 days, the U.S. and the USSR stood on the brink, until a last-minute agreement pulled both back. Fun fact, in the 1980s, the U.S. even developed a plan for a space-based missile defense system called Star Wars, though it never became fully operational. The name wasn't official, but the sci-fi nickname stuck. Meanwhile, both sides competed for global influence in Korea, Vietnam, Africa, Latin America, and even in space. The space race led to milestones like the first man in orbit, Yuri Gagarin, and the first moon landing by Apollo 11. By the late 1980s, the Soviet Union was weakening. Economic struggles, public dissatisfaction, and reform movements shook the foundation. In 1989, the Berlin Wall, the ultimate symbol of Cold War division, fell. 2 years later, the Soviet Union collapsed. The Cold War was over. The Cold War never erupted into total war, but its shadow shaped the modern world. It gave rise to global alliances like NATO, new technology, massive defense spending, and a deep, lingering fear of nuclear annihilation. Even today, its legacy influences how nations interact, how wars are fought, and how power is understood. We live in a world built by the Cold War, but here's the question. In an age of misinformation, cyber warfare, and global rivalries, are we truly past it?